Good day, everyone. Good day. And today we've got a special one that's here. We have a Formula One guy, a boss that's been doing great things for a very, very long time, especially in the last few years. And he's one that really delves in and he gets the job done. His name's Benjamin Durand, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and tell us what he's been doing lately in the last few years. Benjamin, nice to see you here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Lai. So I'm Benjamin Durand. I'm CEO of a company called LkySunz. I've been working in motorsport for more than 25 years now, in several entities and categories, mainly in endurance racing. I work in France, in Monaco, in Dubai, in US, in England, everywhere around the world. And I created my own company in France in 13 and sold it in 17 to start a new project in UK around Formula One. So I've been working since 17 years on this project to bring a new flavor to Formula One. So yeah, that has been quite a challenging endeavor, if I could say.
Okay, that's great to hear. So LkySunz. So what made you call it LkySunz, first of all? And especially, there's something I needed to ask you. Why spell it the way you've spelt it? I was going to ask you that. So yes. Why call it LkySunz, and why spell it the way you spelt it?
It doesn't come from me. It comes from one of my partners, Andy Pira, and Steve, who's my marketing guys. Because the concept that what we want to do is bring more diversity to Formula One, to give access to underrepresented communities to Formula One, and doing so also to reach to a younger audience, more diverse audience, fan base. We are very oriented kind of hip-hop culture. So that's why. So they came with this name that is Suns, because obviously the team is meant to be based first of all in Southeast Asia. So it's coming from east to west like the sun when it's what it's raising. And lucky because lucky is something that is very also important in the Asian and African communities culture.
Well, I like the whole concept situation. So you've taken the concept from beginning to end. So not only have you taken what you're trying to do for community and you're trying to help others, but also the way you spelt it is obviously trying to make you stand out a bit more, because you're trying to do something a bit different too at the same time.
Yeah, we want to be a little bit disruptive, to do something that Formula One is very motorsport, and Formula One in particular is very boring in the way they do things. It's always the same thing. They compete for the same sponsor, they compete for the same market. It has been like this for many years, and when you talk to them, it's we have been doing this for X years, so we know to do it, and they don't change is very hard to bring. Sometimes you have teams that arrive like Red Bull at the beginning. Red Bull now is an institutional team, but at the beginning when they arrived, they were this disruptor, something different, a different flavor. Like Benetton was also in the time when Benetton arrived. They innovate a lot in Formula One and change a lot of things in Formula One. So we want to be a little bit like this. Plus, after it's sad to see that the Formula One is really white English championship. There is this lack of diversity. If you're a young talent in Asia or in Africa and you want to reach Formula One, there is no way for you to come to see this. And if you want to reach new communities, new market, diversify like this, people needs to be able to identify what you're doing. So if they see a paddock that is a bunch of old white men they don't identify, so they're really not into Formula One. So this is also what we want to bring the bridge between those communities, those talents that exist.
Yeah. No, I totally get that concept, because you're totally right. I mean, what Formula One has changed in a big way, especially 80s turning into the 90s. It was a different vibe. And also, I think you are bridging the gap, because it can be seen as men in stiff coats. And by adding that diversity, it actually brings a new market to play.
Yeah.
So
not only market, but also ideas. You know, the problem of F1 is that you're recycling a lot. I mean, you once you're in the club, once you work for a F1 team, you will change to another F1 team, and so they use the same people all the time. It's also all the teams spy on each other in a way. Instead of stealing the information, you steal the brain that make the thing. So this is what happened. So they kind of always in the same way of thinking, way of doing things, etc. So it's very, very difficult to innovate. Sometimes you have teams that take risks and innovate, but otherwise it's very consensual and all that. And bringing people from different, and you have talented people. I mean, Asia and Africa, you have young engineers, young mechanics, people really, really talented that are working in other industries. That you can bring. I mean, if they can build planes, if they can build boats, if they can build, work in IT, they can do Formula One. They just need to adapt to what Formula One is. So this is also what it is, bringing this diversity, not only of background, but of thought, of way of thinking a problem. The way we would think of a problem by being raised and having done schools in Europe, etc., might not be the same that someone that went to university in Singapore or in Nairobi or stuff like that. So that also enrich
and this is where the diversity comes, and the creativity and the diversity comes into it. I totally get that. You know what? I'd like to know more about the Benjamin, because for you to actually think about community, that's very different compared to what other teams are doing. And obviously that comes from the point of view and your partners. So we're going back in the days, where has that feeling of community, that want to get community into Formula One come from? So let's go back to the nearest beginning you can that made you feel like, you know what, I'm going to make a difference. Does that go back 10, 20, 30 years? Go back before Formula One? Where does that come from?
It comes from the beginning of my career. Let's say, first of all, I'm from a very open and diverse family. From my generation with my brother, I'm married with a Japanese wife, so I have this dual culture for my children. My brother is married with a Jamaican, so his children also have this dual culture. So you can imagine the Christmas dinner for the family is really diverse. You have
so how does that work? Japanese and Caribbean together at Christmas?
That works very well, actually. But after you have those difference of culture, etc. But as long as the people are open-minded and curious, that's working very well. And especially the children, they share a lot of things in common, and a lot of experience from those culture. And then we have the roots, that is the main trunk of culture, that is the French one. We are French, but no. So that's the first thing. After I have been helped early in my career. People give me a chance, and I always think that I need to give back also this opportunity to other people. It's not a selfish thing. So everywhere I went, the concept of recruiting young talent making them grow into the company. Instead of hiring someone in a senior position, try to make
Yes.
someone that from junior position rise to the challenge, etc. So that's part of the culture. After I have worked around the world, so I could see that there is more in the world than what we have in our vicinity or in so that's
Yeah.
opening. That's an opening eyes also, because you realize working with people from other background that it's sometimes complicated because you don't understand some cultural differences that can make the things very complicated, because
Totally.
you can upset people, or you can
That's
they
right.
don't understand why they react the way they or do the things
They
they do.
are
It's a
totally
cultural
right.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that because they are bad or because they don't know what to work or stuff. It's just sometimes cultural. But
Yes.
also you find that there is some fantastic ideas of angles you never thought about
Mm-hmm.
working with people from different background. And it's if you make the effort in your company as a manager to embrace those change and not saying, okay, no, I know we are doing like this,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
have to conform to the mold and be like this. But yes, there is a mold that you need more or less to be in, because a company has a structure and a way to work. But if you keep the door open for people to come with their own ideas, to make evolutions, to make changes, that's where your company will thrive.
Yeah. I know, I totally hear you. And from that perspective, what I'm hearing is that you really understand that the actual prospect of what a team is. There's a lot of people, a lot of managers out there that manage a team, but don't really manage the team. They just manage whoever that's within the team. And you have a way of knowing, even though they may have cultural differences, but you know how to cultivate the team to turn into a family in form, in respect.
Yeah, and it's not micromanagement. The thing also is to trust.
Yes.
If you respect and you trust the person in front of you, you don't have to micromanage it. You don't have to be on his back all the time to say, oh, what are you doing now? You should not do it like this. You just, okay,
Yes.
this is the job, do the job. The way you do it, I don't really care. Within
Within a framework.
with
Within
a
a framework.
framework where you need to do it in a certain way. But
Yeah.
if you're innovating and if you have good ideas, bring
Yeah.
it to the table. If you don't trust the people, you're going to be behind them all the time and say, okay, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Questioning all the time the thing. So that's part of also getting the right people, getting the right mentality with the people that are working with you. It's not just I'm hiring someone out of the CV. I'm hiring
That's,
someone that has the same way of thinking or developing, even if it's a young one that is out of school or don't really have the experience and don't really know exactly what he wants and how he wants to do things. You still can feel if someone is just going to follow you and do just what you say, or if you have somebody
yes.
that's a little bit more dynamic, independent, and while still following your instruction, will bring you something different. And you want something like that. You don't want someone that just clock on the morning and clock on the beginning, but
Totally.
especially in my domain. My domain is very tough, very demanding.
Yeah.
It's a passionate domain. You cannot work in motorsport if you do that for just to have a day job. It's too hard and too complicated to do that. So you have to have the passion about what you're doing. And once you have the passion, then you need to exploit this passion and not kill it.
Yeah, no, I totally hear you, and I can see with everything we've just spoken about. It seems to, because you're highly respected with what you do in the industry. This gives you an edge because of the way you think, because of diversity, and so from that point of view, do you feel this gives you that kind of edge, and especially with LkySunz and the way your partners are and think? Is this part of the edge
Yeah,
that you're going with at the moment?
yeah. I think what we are doing is what will be the standard in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think you are doing something particularly crazy or it's just that we are putting in place stuff that a lot of people have tried to put before us. It's not. I mean, I'm not inventing anything. I'm not creating something that is completely unseen before. You have people who have tried to bring the diversity, not only in motorsport but in every aspect of the society. So it's a normal trend that is going to develop, and motorsport is a little bit on the back foot on this, and we need to catch up from the rest of the society. But I don't feel that we are doing something that is really crazy, or it's just the way things will develop. Either we can sit down and wait for it to happen in the next 20 years, or be part of it and push for it. So giving an edge, yes, because we are in advance compared to other companies, but it also give us an additional burden. It's easier, to put a team in England, recruit English engineers locally, and then you're done, you're finished. And a lot of the teams right now are thinking like that because they want the result right away. We know that we're gonna be bad before we're gonna be good, if I can say. We know that we are sacrificing some aspects of the development of the company to be able to. But when we reach that, we will have a huge advantage on the other one.
Because you've taken a harder path. I mean, the easier path is to do the status quo, right?
Yeah.
And you could have taken that path, and it's always the easier path. But it's not the path that actually gives you significant gains. Because you've taken the harder path where you're actually pushing to mold the future of your team and F1 in a specific way, it is harder, and people will follow. And I respect that, because you are in a way an innovator. Yes, you can look at the table and you can say all those parts were there, but how many people have tried to put those parts together?
Because it's so difficult, because you have so many walls in front of you. You have some. The minute you start to say, "I'm going to do something outside of UK in motorsport," people look at you with big eyes and say, "No, but you're crazy.
Yes, right.
It's never going to happen." Asia and Africa is more than 2/3 of the world population.
Yeah.
Africa, I think average in all the continent is like 25 years old or something like that, the average. So it's a young continent, and again, with a lot of talents. Those regions have their problems, obviously, but there is a young talents. There is states that are really developing schools, knowledge, so they are catching up. They are not there yet, but they are catching up. And if you're in this trend, yes, now you're going to go through a lot of hassle to have the things going to work. But when it's work, you will have a huge advantage on the other one, because you have this diversity of thought, diversity of background that will fill you with a lot of new ideas.
Of course.
Not all of them will be good and useful, but you will have more opportunity to have the right idea from the other one that are always recycling. Okay, what the other one are doing, so we're going to copy.
No, I hear you. And let's get more about you, because obviously you've got a flow, a mindset where nothing's going to stop you. You have a vision. You know what you want. You know where you want to go. You're hit left, right, and center because you're doing something different, and you're pushing your way forward. Now, I want to understand about you, Benjamin. Your lowest point when you've been in Formula One, what was your lowest point? And then I want to get into the situation how you got your strength to keep on going on, because you always got these points where it's hard, easy, whatever the case may be. But what was the hardest point in your journey of Formula One, and how did you get yourself out of that?
The hardest one, there would have been eventually two. The first one was obviously with COVID. That was, I mean, everything we were building since 17 collapsed in a matter of few weeks because we lost the investors, we lost everything, and we were back quasi to square one.
And if I can stop you there, how long did it take you to get to that square?
To get back?
Yeah, no. How long did it take you? So you obviously COVID came along. How long had you been working with LkySunz and done all that work to take you back to square one?
It was not LkySunz by itself. It was another entity, but still.
Okay.
But LkySunz is the child of this entity. Let's say.
Okay, fine.
But for the Formula One project, let's say I was working since 17 on it because it's obviously very complicated to bring a new team in Formula One.
My God. So that was 3 years, and then you were set back after all that work for 3 years.
Yeah.
How did you actually feel when that hit with all that work for 3 years? What did that make you feel?
There is always something that it's a very strange because it's never all black or all white. You know, it's you have low pounds, but you can still see. You can still see the sun behind the shadows. If you still believe, you can still see that you can get up from it. You can still see that it was very strange because at some point, yeah, you always ask yourself, okay, did I make the right decision? Do I need to continue? Do I need to stop? And each time I had this kind of reflection, something came up that make me think, okay, yeah, see, it's continuing. There is the new opportunity that is there. It's not something that I can grab easily. I need to work for it, but it's there. So yeah, it's a question of the analysis. You know, you if you give up, you can't achieve. It's if you really believe in your project, if your project is good, it might not happen the way you think it is going to happen. Like now, there is few chance that we bring a new Formula One team because it's not the context anymore, and we have been applied this summer for it, and we have been refused, and Formula One doesn't want new team, etc. So we switch to a plan B that is acquire into one of the existing team and do what we want, but still do what we want to do. But instead of creating a new team, we will adapt it to an existing team, which also has its challenge right now. But there is always a way if you believe in your project and your project is right to make it happen. It's easy to say it's too hard. I don't want to do it. Let's do something else. Then you don't achieve anything, and you, that means your project was not the right, or it's not a good one. But not if you don't believe in it, then.
Yeah, but that something must have pushed you through that stage because a lot of people, and it's not just in Formula One, but a lot of business owners. Especially, it was a tough time for everybody through the COVID, and a lot of people did give up. There was issues there, and there's something must have taken you through. Whether that was some kind of faith or what was the underlying thing that actually kept you going through? Because there were people that gave up. And what's the difference between you and others? What kind of faith did you have that pushed you through, or was there a person that pushed you through?
It's a mix. Obviously, faith has a lot to do with it. I'm a Buddhist. I'm a Secretary member, so that's a big part of my life and of my daily life. The philosophy, the Buddhist philosophy that we try to apply in every day is very important because it helps you to see that whatever the difficulty you have, those difficulties are temporary. Like success is temporary also, and so you have to have this strength to achieve what you want, and the Buddhism is helping a lot into this in the philosophy. It's more than just for your work or for your professional achievement. I mean, it's with the family, with your life, with your happiness and the happiness. I mean, in Buddhist, you want the happiness of the world. Right? You don't want to work. So what you're doing at your level has an impact. And working on the big scheme, you have an impact on the happiness of. But it starts with you, and it starts with. So that's very important, obviously, in your life, and that's when the time are challenging. That obviously you turn even more to your face, and it's challenging also your face, because you can say, okay, it doesn't work. I mean, total problem. If you have a very shallow way of thinking and practicing, you will say, I'm supposed to practice and I'm supposed to be happy, etc. But I'm not. It's because you don't practice correctly. Life is challenging, and your face helps you. Yeah.
And this is this is one of the underpinnings with the Buddhism that's helped you actually just remember diversity, meaning that we're all connected in some form, and because of that, it gives you that belief system and that faith to still carry on and still accept people for who they are.
Yeah, obviously, Buddhism is pushing forward a universal. I mean, especially in the 13th, 14th centuries, etc. When you have the nation movement that started, it was even more than just racial, etc. Women were not allowed, were not considered as being able to practice Buddhism or reaching Buddhahood, etc. So that also has changed. That's this context, that universality of everyone can reach this state, and everyone can be happy. There is no chosen one. There is no just the man or the woman, or if you're white and you have a better chance to arrive.
There's no hierarchy at all. We're all on a similar.
Everybody. And it's neither a hierarchy of because you're more successful in your work, or you have more money, or you have more that you. No, it's whoever. It's on the contrary. Practicing it, I've also seen that you have sometimes scholar, with really strong background of study, etc., that are taught by people that just understand Buddhism, that have been practicing Buddhism for a long time, and get a better understanding of Buddhism than those scholars. You don't need to have a high education. You don't need to have a lot of money to practice. This is something that you in your daily life, whatever is your work, whatever is your age, whatever is your gender. That's irrelevant. It's again, it's universal. So that's helping also. That's helping also to understand the way to interact with others. It's easy always to blame on the outside, and to always go to say, okay, it's so that in a company that has actually be very useful.
That's your fundamental usefulness, because the thing is, you take responsibility within your company if anything goes wrong, and with that, you're in a position where you can empower yourself to change things. Would you say that's correct? It's
even more than that. It's also trying to see that those changes, can come from you, to try to understand that if you have a conflict with a person, if you have something that it's, don't wait for the person to change. It's not going to happen. It's if you change, if you have to find a way to interact differently with the person. You have to. It came from you each time. If you make the effort to yourself to change, yourself to have the different attitude with this person, then the person will also react differently. That's something that is. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying sometimes you have, like everybody, you have people you're more
It's
cool
challenging.
to be with, and you have people that really are on your nerve all the time, and you really cannot stand. But that's the way. If you start to act differently toward them, be less aggressive or react less to their aggression, etc., you can, most of the time, sometimes it's very complicated, but most of the time you will see that the person also will change in front of you. So that's what Buddhism has. Again, there is a famous phrase, I don't know if I'm going to quote it correctly, that the Buddhism is not something that you practice outside of the rule of society, but it's something that helps you understand it better and behave better into the society. You're not a special one that is outside because you're practicing, but you practice.
Yes.
This practice help you in your everyday interaction with people every day, the way you behave in society. That make you a better person in society.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you've just basically said is very powerful, and I can see you bring that into the a company or within your team with the same mentality, and I can imagine your team feels valued because of that, and with that, you know, the team goes forward in such a way. It's more of a family manner, it's more of a family feel, that kind of thing. Would you say that?
Yeah, again, it's the way you interact with people. If you interact with respect, if you show respect to people,
Yes.
then you will get them. If you trust, then okay, sometimes you put your trust in people that don't deserve it and abuse it. But that's a small gamble. I've worked, especially in motorsport, where you're backstab all the time, and so I've worked with very cynical people. I'm sad for them. I could not work in having this kind of mentality that okay, I'm gonna hit first because I know he's gonna attack me, so I'm gonna attack him first to destroy him first, even if the guy doesn't do anything to me, or there are a lot of people with this kind of mentality where you have to kill before to be killed. That's not the way I want to work, and that's not the way I think I can be happy, or you can be happy in your life. Because if you always look on your back and always you to be in confrontation with the people you work with, and you don't trust, then you're really alone, and you cannot achieve anything. You have to take risk. You have to trust people. Sometimes you fall flat on your face because people betray you, or people don't have the same.
Totally.
But overall, for the few times you're backstabbed, you get more. You cannot stop at this. Yeah, it's.
No, you're totally right. I mean, mistakes have got to be made, and you will fall as long as you fall forward and you understand the mistakes you made. But I really appreciate the way you think and actually interact with people, human beings, before they even work with you. You treat people in a certain way, and I can imagine working with you makes life so much easier, so they can be creative, in the way that they would like to work, as long as they work within the framework, as we spoke earlier on. And that makes a massive difference, especially when you will get that natural respect. And as such, you don't have to push anyone in any direction. They just want to do the best for you, because you give them the respect and you get that back.
No, it's not neither happy all the time, and
Of course.
It's tough and competitive, and you have to get rid of people that are not capable of raising to the challenge and so on. So it's tough also. You ask a lot of people. You ask them to do a lot of hours. You ask them to go. This motorsport is a career of passion. You cannot do motorsport just to be in motorsport. If you just do that for the paycheck, you're going to be very unhappy doing this. So people in motorsport are generally passionate people. So you
Yes.
ask a lot of them. You're very demanding, but it's something. It's a give and take. While you're demanding, and you have some certain pressure to put on them, you also treat them with respect and try to make their life as possible. Because again, at the end, if you're very cynical, you want your company to perform. To have your company
Yes.
to perform, you need the people
Yeah.
inside the company to be able to perform. So they need to
Yeah.
be happy. If they are happy, they're going to perform. If they're going to perform, your
Yeah.
company will perform. If you
Yes.
want to be really a bottom line corporate thing, even here, it's a win-win situation in every scenario. It's a win on the human side because you treat people with respect, etc. It's
Yeah.
a win because you raise those people to a higher level, and it's a win also for your company because your company is thriving because you have people inside the company that are happy. Otherwise, they leave. Otherwise, they don't do their job correctly. They don't, if someone get up in the morning and doesn't want to come to work, then he's not
Yeah.
going to perform. If someone is
No.
happy to come to work, even if it's hard, even if it's tough, he knows that if he give a lot of his blood and sweat to the company will give him back and treat him with respect, and that's the way it is.
Thank you for everything that you've described here, because it just shows me how your company's mindset works and why it's so successful and being sustainable the way it has been. Now, just tell me where is LkySunz in their journey at the moment, and where are you heading to, or where are you hoping to head to?
We have we have applied this last summer for a new entry in the Formula One. It has been rejected, like all the other applicants have been rejected either by the FIA or F1. There is no new entry for reasons that are not because we were weak in our dossier when we presented, but because it's more political thing. So okay, so we have switched now to still trying to do what we want to do, but through the existing team, and we are trying to work with one of the existing teams to take over or to work with them. And we also are looking into other series because again, to create academies, to create a pathway for young people from those communities to come to motorsport and eventually for the best of them to Formula One.
Yeah.
You have to have also the intermediary. It's not you just arrive to Formula One in one step. You have to sometimes few will have the opportunity to go directly to Formula One, but most of them will have to, especially coming from those underrepresented communities, is going to be more difficult. So this is also, we want to create those pathways and those academies and those championship in the middle. So this is also what we are working on right now.
Okay, so just let me just take you a little further back, because it was interesting when you was talking about that you have a possibility where you could be working with another Formula One team. Obviously, you can't tell me any details because that's in the mix at the moment. What made you actually were creative enough to think of going down that route, and what's the realism that you may go down that route?
Because simply a lot of teams now start to identify the fact that they need something new, they need something different, they need this diversity in some ways, they need those markets. Formula One has been focused the last 2-3 years on the US markets, which has thrived and good for them. But now they say, okay, we have this market. What's the next step? The next step is looking back to East and looking back to Asia, and then also to Africa. Africa is also a continent with a lot of possibility in a longer future, maybe because it's more complicated over there, obviously. But the path is there, and Formula One and motorsport will come there also. So they have this interest of what we can bring different. Because they know we have been working on this. We have been on the ground in those areas, in those communities, in those countries. to make the relationship with the local actors, local government, local companies, and so we are there. We have 3 or 4 years advance from anybody else. So if someone wants
really
to,
good.
if someone wants to work there, either they do what we did, but it will take them a lot of money and time to arrive, or they can work with us. And there are some opportunities there to do that. So it's complicated. It's complicated because Formula One is specifically very self-centered and self-focused. But some people are more open-minded and starting to look at the world in more global than just UK and the UK.
And I suppose at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be forced to look at being creative because of the competition, and they need some kind of diversity to give them that edge. Because would it be right to say there's just not that, especially with the restrictions of the cars, there's not that flexibility to really get much of an edge, and you need something more in the background going on? Would that be fair enough? Is that?
Yeah, but also that's the very down to earth and short-sighted way of a lot of things are thinking. What I can gain and how I can gain it shortly. So they are coming to the idea that they will gain from this. But there is also this worldwide. I mean, the world is evolving. The world is changing, and diversity is coming to something that is becoming more and more natural. I mean, it became, maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, having diversity in somewhere, people would have, there is people of color in this group, etc. People will look at it with, okay, why there is people? Now it's the opposite. If you have a group, if I show you a picture of a group of people that it's only white guys, you will start to think, okay, there is something wrong here. Well, it's not a picture that has been taken in 2024. It's a picture from the so the culture is there, is changing also, and Formula One motorsport cannot be at the back, because people will see that, okay, there is a problem, and it's already showing. It's not yet very vocal. It's not yet to the point where really you start to have people, activists, that start to really point out the problem. But it's there. We have a lot of contact, obviously, with those communities, and there's a lot of people, especially in the hip-hop industry, that come from diversity, that come from Afro-American or Africa or even Asia. There is a very good hip-hop culture in Asia, and they are sometimes invited in Formula One. And when we talk to them, they say, "Oh, I had a fantastic day in Formula One in the paddock," but it's all white. It's something that shocked them, because they see it right away. So Formula One will have to change. Even if they don't gain in terms, they will gain. But even if they don't see that they gain right away by the coming to diversity, they will have to, because it's how the world now is. You cannot have a group or an entity or a championship or whatever that is not diverse anymore. Formula One has done a very good job so far with the equality. There is more women. There is more women at top positions, so that's good. There is still a lot to be done, obviously, but they've done a good path. But if you look on the diversity side, despite them trying to promote, trying to do things like we race like one, etc. If you took a picture of the paddock 10 years ago and a picture of the paddock right now, it's the same. It's all white men, and there is no diversity except for.
So the diversity, basically, the equality is in the background rather than in the foreground.
It's something, again, that's the one of the problem of Formula One is they are very pragmatic in the way that if it doesn't give them benefits right now, if it doesn't handicap them right now, they will not specifically consider it. They did race like one, and 3 years ago you had, before the before the start of the race, when there was the national anthems, etc. There was 1 minute about we race like one and diversity. Obviously, you have Lewis Hamilton, that is in one of the greatest champion of Formula One of all time, that is racing, coming from diversity and doing a lot, pushing for this. So there is still this noise in background, you know, but it's still a noise in background. There is no big changes. I mean, again, if you took a picture of the teams, you have the every year you have the full team that is posing in front of the car, in front, you know, in the paddock, etc. So you can see who are in the teams. You will not see a lot of diversity. You know, I'm always joking that it's like playing Where is Waldo. You know, you try to find the diversity in that. So, but culturally, it's still more or less okay right now. But I think the more the time will pass, the more people will be shocked by it. You know, now the people are looking at the car, looking at Formula One, it's technical, etc., and don't pay too much attention about the paddock. But I think as the time will pass, the time will come, because the society as itself is changing, is evolving, and becoming more diverse. Having a group that is not diverse will stand out. You know, as I said before, when you have diversity somewhere, it was standing out. Oh, you know, there is this black guy in middle of all those white. What he's doing here? Now, if you have all white, you say there's a problem. Why there is no diversity? Why it's all white guys? You know, so that's the change of mentality you have in the society that F1 will face at one point. And what we are doing will obviously be at the forefront of their preoccupation at one point. And we have 15 steps advance. What we are doing is for our benefit, but for benefit of Formula One itself. They will wake up to it. I hope it's not too far down the line, but they will wake up to it, and they will see the benefit of having people like us coming to Formula One, trying to do that also.
Yes. Yeah, no, I can see that, and I especially with you actually heading this whole diversity thing, everybody's going to follow, and as you said, people have to follow. It's just the way of the world. Whether they want to or not, they're going to be pushed into the box eventually, because the world's going to demand that.
At the end, it's a simple business. You know, when you will start to have, first of all, you cut yourself from a lot of potential fans and customers, and so it's part of your business. If you just focus on the white population, that's really limited compared to the worldwide population. So if you look at purely business, that make no sense not to be diverse. And second of all, it can also backlash, because at one point you might have people that are more active, more sensitive to this kind of issues, that will speak out and start to say, look, why this is still happening, and it's bad. It's bad press for them. It's bad for business. So they will. Again, you have a big American group behind Formula One. What they want is making business, and to make business, they need to have everything happy, and so they will not want to go down toward this. Right now, those voices are not strong enough for Formula One to really push for the change, but it's something that is growing over time. So yeah, I'm convinced there will be those kind of change in the coming years.
Oh, it's definitely going to happen. So what can community, the world, who can support you? What support do you need to go forward as a team? So you've got your funding. Is there any other support that you need to go forward?
No, obviously the work we have been doing and doing is first of all to introduce ourselves to those communities, and also to gain the trust. You know, it has been a gimmick also by some people to use diversity, or to use oh, we're going to come to Africa, we're going to come to Asia and do a lot of things with you, give me your money or give me your and then do nothing. So it has been the opposite for us, where we try to prove that what we want to do and how we want to do it, So we show that it's a genuine things, and get the people on board, get the people to understand what we are trying to do, and again, it's not me who have to do it. It's something that has to come. We want to be the head spear of the movement, but
Yes.
we need to have the thing. I mean, we need to be fully. We are successful the day we follow. The way we are not in the front, the day we follow, and there are more people that are coming to the. So that's what we are doing right now. That's what we are trying to. Again, we are still in the phase where we keep on the low profile a little bit until we are able to have all those things in place, and we're going to communicate more around it. But now our work is more on the ground with local communities, with universities, with government, to make them understand, look, we are genuine. We are not using this as a ticket to do something that we're going to forget 5 minutes after we get the entry. It's something that we want to do on so that takes also time, because obviously trust is built over time. You cannot.
Yeah, totally. And there's so many moving parts. I can see there's so many things to think about and bring together.
Yeah.
And that takes time. And I can see you're very careful and very specific in what you do. Is there a website that anybody can check any more information, and how can people find information?
So we have a website that is very simple for now and very non-Formula One. People have been kind of shocked by our website, because it's anything but the traditional Formula One or motorsport where you see cars.
Well, you're not a traditional team. You're not a traditional organization, so that should be expected.
So we have this LkySunz.com website. We are on X. We are on LinkedIn. We have a community that is starting to do a lot of things. We try every week to put some more materials on the social media to communicate around all those things, but not just diversity, motorsport in general. To have this culture, hip hop. We do podcast also we invite people from different background, hip hop culture, some other culture, just to give a different flavor of the boring standard. This is F1, this is motorsport, this is my partner Andy was more on the commercial and the marketing aspect, always saying that he doesn't care about the result on track. The more important for him is what we do outside of the track. I'm not completely agreeing with him, because on track is important too. Winning is good, but yeah, this is also this is the part of the thing. Again, we want to reach those communities and create the feeling, to have the people identify. You say, okay, what they are doing is something that I like. What they are doing is something that I would like to do. Why not make a career in motorsport? Why not come to so how can I do that? And then this is where we need to arrive and come to say, hey, this is how we can help you to have this kind of career. This is how we can help you to bring you to motorsport. That's we are still at the beginning, and again, we have kept it very, very low from now. We will raise once we have certain things in place and certain achieve certain threshold that we are working on right now. We're going to communicate more and make it. But already we have quite a nice community that is following us, that is liking what we do, and it was heartwarming to see that even in those Asian African communities and countries, from government or just fun, etc., people were telling us, okay, don't give up because you have not been taken by Formula One as a new team. Please continue to do what you're trying to do. We see a certain support. So we see that, we have the right, that comfort us. You were asking before, what makes you continue? That's the kind of things that make us think, that's worth it. Well, what we are doing is starting to make a change, is starting to have an impact, because we have those those different people from different backgrounds coming to us and say, hey, we like what you, even in Formula One, there is some senior people in Formula One that are very traditional, etc., that start to tell us, okay, guys, that's very interesting what you're doing. Keep on doing it, and everybody, yeah, everybody is not on the same page. Obviously, we have people that feel better with us, but in general, the thing has been quite positive in all the different.
And to have that feedback, it just solidifies what you've been trying to do, and it takes time to get that to that stage. But to have that feedback, it's like, you know, it gives you a nice way to know that you've been going in the right direction. You know. Because when you're being knocked left, right, and center, and you're being knocked down when you things don't go quite the way you want it to go, it's nice to hear that, knowing we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and again, it's at the end we do things for ourselves. I'm not saying I'm completely selfish in this. I like my work and I like what I do, and etc. So it's rewarding also for me. I'm not saying the contrary, but it's also show that we are also reaching to people right now, and we have an impact, however small it is at the moment, with those people. And yeah, if you have 90% of the comments that are negative and say, okay, you're crazy, you're doing something wrong, then you might think, okay, I'm doing something wrong. But when it's the opposite, when you have such a and as I said, those comments of support came from head of states, governments, but also from just fans who follow us and discover us through internet, through the social media appearance we did, etc., and say, okay, guys, we love what you do, continue doing it, it's very good. So it's give us also a responsibility to achieve it, and to continue to be in the same direction, to not lose ourselves in what we are doing. Try to continue to be true to what we want to do, not to disappoint the people that are now giving us their support and their trust.
I love your project, especially what it stands for, and you're doing really well. And I'm going to spell out LkySunz. It's easy enough for them to find you, and that's a marketing genius, because the thing is, they can easily find you because it's spelled LkySun for November Z. That's LkySunz. So you're definitely going to be found no matter where. So if people want to support you, that's easy enough for them to Google and find you through that way. So a work of genius that is. And then thank you for taking the time speaking with us. And actually, it was nice to hear about the company, but also how you tick behind the scenes, because you're one of the people that are the driving force of the company, and that's really important. So it was nice to hear how you keep on pushing forward, especially when you went through that pain like the rest of us in 2020, right? And I just want to say thank you for your time, and we appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
My pleasure. My pleasure.